Welcome back to Old School Sports and our OOTP 23 playthrough of the Kansas City Royals. We are at the end of July preparing for the final stretch of the season. You can see we're still in last place in the American League Central, but only 9 games out of the division lead, and even more importantly than that, only 5.5 games out of the wild card. So we are a team that has underperformed thus far this season. We're 54 and 57, but theoretically we should be 60 and 51. So we should be right in the mix for the wild card. Hopefully we can start playing better immediately, since we don't have too much time left to make some changes. The 2 recent changes that we did make that hopefully will help our team out. We traded away Alex Boehm and a minor league pitcher to get Jeff Mcneil from the Angels. And then we also traded a package together to get, or actually just not a package, just one player, a right fielder to the Angels to get the reliever Nick Anderson. So we're hoping that both of those moves will help our team on the margins. We actually are going to make one more trade before the calendar flips over to August. This is more just to appease our ownership. They want us to acquire a hometown player. Haven't made any progress on that. We've looked, over the last however long it's been since we got this goal at the Kansas City or local natives, and there's not a ton of great options out there, but I just don't want to forget to do this, and on the margin it could help our team. So we are going to try to trade for Aaron Ashby from the Brewers, 25-year-old reliever. Over the course of his career, he's been a below-average pitcher so far with an 83 ERA plus and a 108 FIP minus. Is a left-hander, has really nice stuff. I think the issue is that he's been a starter for about half of the starts of his career at this point at the major league level. And he's really purely a reliever. So I think if he's used out of the bullpen, he can actually hopefully do a better job than he's done as a starter. So we're going to see if we can piece together a trade just for kind of spare parts to add an arm that will help our bullpen on the margin, but probably even more importantly, just do one thing that will keep ownership happy as we head into next year when our contract will be coming up for renewal at the end of the 2024 season. And we do have a deal together that'll pick up Aaron Ashby for us, kind of centered around Davis Daniel, who's a starter for us, been in AAA the last couple of years. Has good stamina, certainly looks like he can be a league average-ish type starter. And also going to send 2 other starters, Ben Kudra, who probably isn't going to, he's only 20 years old, but probably not going to develop that much. And then Victor Pena, who is also 20 years old, again, very borderline whether they're going to develop into anything. They just wanted a little bit of organizational depth, and we are happy to do it. So we are going to go ahead and complete the trade, bring on Aaron Ashby, who is from Kansas City, Missouri. So I don't know what else we could possibly do as far as a homegrown player that will make ownership happier than bringing Aaron Ashby back home to Kansas City. And the nice thing is, being a local guy, the fans are really excited about us having brought Aaron Ashby on board. So one other positive thing, our fan interest had actually been slipping a bit through the year. Last I remember, I think we were down around 64, 63. So got a nice little pop down there with Ashby. Attendance has been really good this year. We've increased it by about 4,500 a game, from 29.3 to almost 34,000 a game, up 16%, with just the small cut in ticket prices, and then more importantly, driving some more fan interest. So our revenue per game is up 12.5%. We are going to have kind of a big amount of money that we didn't spend this year again, because our draft expenditures were just really artificially low. the guys we picked up in the amateur draft were just not that expensive to bring on board. And I have thought about doing what we did last year and trying to bring on some salary from someone who is just looking to dump a highly paid veteran player who's on the trade block. There's really nothing all that interesting out there. The only thing I can potentially think is maybe bringing on Jason Hayward. Really just his center field depth. I mean, he's in the last year of the contract, obviously overpaid at $22 million a year. Michael A. Taylor is going to be in his final days with us. You can see his below average hitting profile, but he's great defensively, 32 years old, but he hit a .189 last year. Doing a little better this year, hitting .203, but that 58 OPS plus. You can see his overall WAR is positive this year at 0.2, but his bat is just so bad that that Great Glove isn't generating a ton for us. So I did also check in with him about a contract renewal. I can show you guys, so you know I'm hopefully not lying about anything. I don't know why I would do that. That would be really weird. But he's looking for 3 years, $6 million a year. So given that he's been so rough offensively for us, and at 32 is unlikely to get better, certainly not going to be paying that kind of money to him. It's possible, if he goes into free agency, that he'll be the best option out there and we'll have to bring him back because of his glove, but certainly not something that we're going to do ahead of time. So I guess if they just want to dump Jason Hayward on us, we can take on a little bit of contract here and still make money for the year. So we'll see what they're looking for. I'm guessing they just want to get him off the books. Yeah, they'll take not anything for him, but a lot of kind of 2-star potential starters here, like Anderson Polino, who's not horrible. He could pitch in the majors, but he's really more of a reliever unless that changeup gets better, and he's already almost 25 years old. I guess the issue is that I'm assuming Hayward actually does have option years left, but he would definitely, he has been in Iowa each in 2021 and 2023. I tend to think he will just refuse any assignment if we try to put him down in AAA as an insurance policy. And I guess the other thing I can try to see is whether they'll throw in just another prospect to us for taking that contract of his on. This guy, Scott Kobos, almost 26 years old, but looks like a decent left-handed reliever. A little bit better, a little bit more effective against lefties than he is against righties. He's pitching in single A right now, but he's also pitched in Iowa and with the Cubs this year. Has he been hurt? Doesn't look like it. What did he do to have them send him down to single A? I'm sure they won't just throw him in, but again, they're only looking for, they want to get rid of that contract, so they're still looking for just about anything for Kobos. I think I'll bring him on board. He's a lefty arm that could be useful at some point to us. Only played 6 days in the majors this season, and he was fine. 2 1/3 innings, no earned runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. I like him. And another guy that the Cubs are willing to take is Andres Diaz, who is a 22-year-old. We've never had him above rookie ball, and he hasn't performed incredibly well even at that level. So absolutely happy to throw in Andres Diaz if it helps get us Kobos. We'll see if looks like they're just going to retain all the money. I can't even have somebody do a salary dump with me properly. The Cubs are willing to kind of keep this entire contract. That's a little sketchy. The whole point of this was me kind of burning a little bit of my profit, so ownership doesn't think I'm as awesome as I am for a little while, and maybe they'll continue to run the budget. So does that mean we can throw in another prospect? All right, so we've got a deal where we'll also get Jonathan Perlaza from them, who's a first baseman, just organizational depth. They'll keep most of his contract. It's really just about us getting an insurance policy for Michael A. Taylor, and then bringing on Kobos, who is interesting. So we'll go ahead and make that trade also. I don't know if our friend here is going to be willing to go to AAA. Let's see if Mr. Hayward will go to Omaha. Oh, he's got to be on the 40-man roster, obviously. He refuses to be demoted. Well, we don't care. The main thing was to get Kobos on board. We're going to put Ashby up on the Major League roster. We waived Torres to make room on the 40-man roster for another move a few days ago. I can't even remember what that was, but we can put him back down in Omaha. So we will make these moves, get the roster cleaned up, and then figure out what we're going to do with Jason Hayward as far as him being an insurance policy. I don't want to send Eddie's Leonard down. We're kind of committed to keeping him around, even though he's been brutal, batting a .175 at this point with 7 homers and 171 at-bats. But it's almost August. At this point, we picked him in the Rule 5 draft, and we're going to make it work no matter what. And there's not really anyone else obvious that we want to cut off of the Major League roster. So, maybe we just picked up Kobos to eat that little bit of Hayward salary, and if it is what it is. And probably a note to be careful when kind of doing those just last-second silly moves like I just did. I just realized that Scott Kobos, and I could have looked at this if I had looked carefully, has already been optioned 5 times this year. So if I don't put him on the Major League roster, I'm going to have to get him through waivers, which kind of defeats the purpose of putting him down in AAA. So, definitely making changes to our pitching rotation. It looks like Ashby Mcneil has slotted in as closer now, so he takes over for Anderson, who had been briefly slotted in as closer, and then Anderson and Barlow are now our setup men. I guess we can send, the relievers have been doing a decent job for us. I guess we can send potentially maybe Gabe Spire back down to AAA to make room to put our new acquisition Kobos up on the roster. So let's see what that makes the rotation look like. Yeah, he's still going to use Aaron Ashby as our closer. That's going to be interesting, but hey, if it works out, great. And then Nick Anderson as an opener, Hayden Wesneski still as a follower. Mike Matheny's doing some wacky stuff with our rotation, but hopefully with the new tools that we've given him, it ends up helping us perform well over these last 2 months of the season here. I think with Hayward, just going to wait 7 days, see if we have any injuries that he can fill in, and if he refuses to go to AAA, we've either got a decision to make or we just let him go. But that certainly made it even more important that we put Kobos on the Major League roster and don't lose him, because even though we don't think that anyone we gave up was really a huge part of our future, it would be kind of pointless to have picked up Kobos and Hayward and just release them both within a few days while paying them money. And although he hasn't pitched for us yet, the good news is that acquisition of Aaron Ashby will make ownership happy with that 2024 target, acquiring a hometown player. So we'll see how he does stepping into our closer role, but at the very least, we've won a few brownie points with our ownership. we try to get the Royals better. Let's see if we can get them over 500 here in these first couple weeks in August. And we're closing in on 500, up to 58 and 59, so just one game under. Hopefully over the next week we can string some wins together, and we're only 7.5 out for the division, and we're out of last place, so that's saying something. Only up by 3 games on the White Sox, but I've definitely made some progress. So you can see the 6-4 record over the last week, which is getting us closer to 500. Hopefully we can get there, and then at this point, looking at the wild card standings, only 3.5 out. That third wild card, puts a lot of teams in play. So we'll see how the new acquisitions do, and we'll see if we can make a run here in the dog days of August. And Jason Hayward is refusing to report to Omaha. Thought he could be an insurance policy. In retrospect, that was probably a stupid trade to just throw together at the last minute. You can see that the additions of Aaron Ashby playing dividends, hasn't allowed an earned run in 4 games for us. The addition of Nick Anderson, the same thing, hasn't allowed an earned run in 6 games. But Kobos, who we dumped onto the roster, has given up 4 runs in 5 innings pitched for a 7.20 ERA. Obviously a very small sample size, and I still think he has his potential to be a decent arm for us. But, doing that Hayward trade at the last second was just a little bit silly, I think. Checking in on the other new guy, Jeff Mcneil, has played well for us since we picked him up, batting close to 300. So definitely adds a little bit of a dimension to the offense with the good contact that he brings. And while we're checking in on people, checking in on the defending Rookie of the Year, Bobby Witt Jr., hitting .295 with 20 homers and 74 driven in here through 108 games in early August. So certainly an outside shot that he can get to, or not even an outside shot, a legitimate shot that he could drive in over 100 runs this year, and could potentially still get that batting average back over 300, which would be great. But right now we're thinking about Jason Hayward, and we are going to go ahead and give him his release, take the salary hit, and move on from that failed 7-day long experiment. And we've also lost another game, so we're a game further away from being 500 right now, unfortunately. And we are finally over 500 at 62 and 61, 7 games out for the AL Central, 3 games out for the AL Wild Card. Kind of starting to turn things around. At the worst, we were 6 games below our Pythagorean projection. Now we're only 4 games below that projection. So I've gotten a little lucky over the last several weeks, but hopefully we can keep stringing some good days together. We're still 6-4 in our last 10. Probably need to be playing kind of 600 ball the rest of the way out. At a minimum, 600 ball the rest of the way out would get us to, 84, 85 wins, a 530-ish winning percentage, which puts us right in the mix of where we need to be to potentially get into that wild card. So let's see how we were able to play over these final weeks of August. And just one little check-in from our email. You may remember Peyton Williams in the draft from about a month ago, who we thought about in the first round and second round, had no interest then, but then when he was still around in the 4th round, took a flyer on him. Doesn't really have anywhere where he can play defensively, but does have potentially exceptional home run power, and he has been tearing up rookie ball, 93 at-bats with 10 home runs, 26 ribbies, batting .441 with a .240 OPS plus. So he just won the Player of the Week award, batting .650 for the week. Obviously, we're going to be moving him up to single A ball now and see what he's able to do in single A over the last few weeks of the season there. Well, another week in the books, and we're another game over 500 at 65 and 63. So making slow and steady progress, but we could run out of time eventually. We're 2.5 games out of the wild card, though, so we are absolutely in the mix. Unfortunately, starting catcher MJ Melendez, a little banged up. Going to be affected for 2 weeks with a strained abdominal that's going to have a moderate impact on him. He's had a really nice sophomore season, hitting .267 with 20 homers and 61 ribbies. Just to be careful, we are going to put him on the 10-day injured list. The reason we can do that without much thought is that the beginning of the year, we did pick up Tucker Barnhart as a free agent, signed him as a minor league free agent. So we've got that excellent defensive catcher ability just kind of sitting in AAA for a situation just like this. So we're going to bring Barnhart up for the next couple of weeks, hopefully not even that long. And hopefully him and Cam Gallagher can hold things together defensively for us and maybe generate a little bit of offense as we prepare for roster expansion in just about 10 days. And the Royals continuing to play our best ball of the year. We're up to 69 and 65 here on August 28th. Still 2.5 games out of the wild card. Looking at the American League Central, we're in third place and only 3.5 games behind the Twins. So we should be playing some meaningful games in late September. And if we can end up over 500 and we are playing meaningful games in late September, those were definitely our goals. But obviously would love to get into the playoffs here in our second year as general manager. If we can pull that off, that would be even earlier than anticipated and a big victory for us. But got some work to do over the last 5 or so weeks of the season to make that a potential reality. And the other late acquisition that we made before the trade deadline of Aaron Ashby has really paid off. You'll remember he's the local guy, so ownership is really happy we brought him on board, and he just won AL Pitcher of the Month. You can see he pitched 14 1/3 innings for us since he joined us, 8 saves with a 3.14 ERA. Definitely pleased to have him in our bullpen here as we try to make the playoff push. As we get to roster expansion on the first day of September, we're 71 and 66, 2.5 games out of the division, and just 1 game out of the wild card. So these Royals are going to be playing some meaningful games here in September. So with September roster expansion, we brought Gabe Spire, another left-handed arm backup from AAA, and then Vinny Pasquantino. Maybe that bat can help us a little bit down the stretch. He did hit .288 in Omaha. Only 5 homers and 316 at-bats, though. So hopefully Vinny can give us a little bit of a boost to the offense here in the final weeks of the season as the Royals begin our playoff push. And another difficult decision with Melendez ready to come back off the IL. Tucker Barnhart has played 9 games, hitting .290 while he's been up. Cam Gallagher hitting just .212 on the year and is not as good defensively. We are actually going to demote our backup catcher, Cam Gallagher, to AAA, and he refuses to be demoted. So what are we going to do with Cam? I guess we can send Barnhart back down if Cam wasn't being a jerk. Barnhart might refuse to go down too, the way that he's playing. No, he was willing to go down, I guess, because he had a minor league contract. So I think on the margin we might have been a little better with Barnhart up, but at least if we need some more help at catcher, we know that Barnhart is back down there, and we'll have to make a decision between him and Cam Gallagher this offseason as to whether we want to pay Gallagher in arbitration or just try to give an extension, or pay Gallagher in arbitration, or just try to give an extension to Barnhart, which may be more economical. And we've slipped back a bit here in the early stages of September, losing 2 straight to the Twins, who are one of the teams that we are chasing. They're leading the division, so now we're 4.5 behind. Would be really nice, especially with our free agent acquisition, Ryan, on the mound for us, who's had a mediocre year, to hopefully get a win today against them. And another loss, closer game, 2-1, so 2 one-run losses, and then we got blown out by them. But can see it has us almost back down to a 500 record, so definitely not the way the team wanted to start the month of September here. Hopefully over the next week, when we are playing the Angels, who are, I assume, out of it since we made a couple of trades with them at the trade deadline, and then Detroit after that will be a big series. So what do the Angels in Detroit look like in the standings as we are heading into these key series? Yeah, the Angels are still in the mix, 5.5 behind for the wild card, and then Detroit series is going to be huge. We're now 2.5 out of the wild card. The Tigers are 3 ahead of us for the wild card, so really need to do some damage in that series. Hopefully we get 2 out of 3 against the Angels and then 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. Winning the series is always the goal. And it's been a brilliant return to the lineup for MJ Melendez. Just won AL Player of the Week, 10 hits and 21 at-bats, 3 dingers, 10 runs batted in. So the second-year catcher having a great sophomore season. And he really fueled a fantastic week for us. We swept the Angels and then won 2 out of 3 in Detroit. Lost the final game of the series 10-2, but we needed to go on a good run there, and we did. Still just a half game out of the wild card. So we're absolutely in the mix for the wild card, and we're 3.5 behind in the division. So we are playing important games. We're going to be going up against the Red Sox next, who are out of it. Hopefully we can win 2 out of 3 there. And then looking at the schedule after the Red Sox, it's back against Detroit on the road. That is the critical series. Again, just looking to win series, so 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox, and then we need to take 2 out of 3 against Detroit again before those huge series against Minnesota and Cleveland the week after that. So we did our job in the Red Sox series, won 2 of 3, obviously got greedy and we're hoping for the sweep, but lost the third game of the series. Headed to Detroit next, 3 games out in the division, so hanging in there, and we're tied with Detroit now. So looking at the wild card, we're tied for the 3rd wild card right now, so this is a absolutely massive series against the Tigers. Need to take 2 out of 3 to take over that wild card spot, and now I'm going to get greedy. Let's sweep the Tigers and just put our stamp on this 2023 season. And it's absolutely going to be a battle against the Tigers, going up against Casey Mize, Rodriguez, and Manning. So they are throwing 3 pretty strong starters at us, and we are on the road. Going to be a big chore for the Royals to hopefully take 2 out of 3 here at Detroit. And we didn't end up getting the job done, took only 1 of 3 against Detroit, so we've got an off day tomorrow, or an off day today actually, and then 3 home against Minnesota, 3 home against Cleveland for the rest of this week. And then we're into the final 3 games on the road at Texas. Or final 4, looks like there's a doubleheader there. So Minnesota and Cleveland at home for the next 6 games. We're a game and a half out for the wild card now. Not optimal. So Detroit must have won on Monday after they took 2 out of 3 against us, and we're 3.5 out for the division. So definitely in the mix. Minnesota is a team that we're chasing for the division, so probably got to sweep, but at the very least need 2 of 3 again against Minnesota, and then want to get 2 out of 3 against the Guardians. If we can do that, we're going to keep ourselves alive for this wild card that we are striving for. And it was just a brutal week for the Royals. We got swept by the Twins, which essentially took us out of the division, and then we only won 1 out of 3 against Cleveland. So 1-5 during our final homestand of the year, and we are 1-6 in our last 7 games. We've got 4 left on the road at Texas, but we've put ourselves in a pretty tough position. You can see we're only 80-78 now, so not even assured of having a winning record. 7.5 out for the division, so we're obviously done there, and we're now 3 games out for the wild card. So we need to sweep the Rangers to get to 84 wins, and even that may not be enough to get us in the playoffs. We're going to need both Oakland and Cleveland, who we were just playing against, to really stumble over these final 3 or 4 games of the season for everybody. So had a great run here, but you can see we're the last team left that hasn't been, or we're the closest team to being eliminated of anyone in the American League. So have to run the table. Definitely a disappointing final stretch of what has been a pretty promising season, quite honestly. Going up against Kent for Texas. Zach Kent, 3-14 record with a 5.51 ERA. Whew. Let's hope the Royals can win this one. And we did get the win 9-4. Nicky Lopez, unfortunately, out for 1 to 2 weeks with a herniated disc, so that is not optimal. Good news is that it guarantees we're going to be at least 500, but losing our starting shortstop for the final 3 games of the season is definitely not optimal. But the loss of Lopez will allow us to finally let Melvin Moreno make his major league debut. You may remember he was an international free agent we signed last year. Love his glove. Played close to 80 games in AAA this year. Missed some time with an injury. Batted .256 with a 77 OPS plus. So we'll see. We'll see what Matheny does with the lineup. I probably prefer that he plays Kreidler, even though Kreidler's not as good defensively. He's got more of a major league bat, but we'll see what Mr. Matheny thinks. And yeah, he is playing Kreidler at shortstop, but maybe Moreno gets a little bit of opportunity to pinch hit and or play a little bit of defense here if we get a lead, and we're looking for him to come on and play shortstop for Kreidler in the 8th or 9th inning of a game where we've got a lead, which hopefully we'll have here in the final days of the season. Big day against Texas, going up against John Gray and Jack Leiter here. Both had 7 wins this season in the doubleheader here on Tuesday the 26th, the second to last day of the season for the Royals. And we split the 2 games with Texas, lost the first one in 14 innings, and then won 3-2. So heading to tomorrow for the final game of the season. The 1 win guarantees that we have a winning record, which is good. But we have been eliminated from the playoffs. So 2 games out with 1 game to go. You can see we're 3-7 in our last 10, which the A's also were. So it was definitely achievable for us to make it to the playoffs. A big bummer that we are not going to have made it this year, but I guess we'll take the progress in terms of our record. Did kind of overachieve from what the front office was looking for. They wanted us to play to close to 500 ball, and we're going to finish with a winning record. Hopefully we can get a win here on the final day of the year to get to 83-79. The reason that would be so potentially important for us is that if we get to 83-79, that will put our career record back to 500 2 seasons into this playthrough with the Royals, which would be nice to get to. But before we can get there, apparently herniated discs are going around. You remember we lost Nicky Lopez several days ago, and now Kike Hernandez, who had a respectable year for us. 14 homers and 409 at-bats. I'm going to throw him on the IL for the final day of the year to bring up somebody from AAA because he is also out with a herniated disc. That will let us get Kyle Isbell back up here, see if Mr. Isbell gets any action in the final game of the season for us as we try to get a victory here against the Rangers to finish the season, hopefully with 83 victories. And we lost the final game of the season 5-2 to Texas, so we had a winning record, but by the lowest margin possible that you can say you had a winning record. Finished 82-80, 3-7 in the last 10. The playoffs were right there for us, so it's really a bummer to have been that close and to have missed out. But hey, we made a little progress this year. We're 3 games better than we were last season, and importantly, we were also 3 games below what we were projected to be. We were projected to be 85-77, which, would have been the number that would have put us tied for that last playoff spot with the A's. So a bummer that we underperformed a little bit, but we did make progress this season. Got Bobby Witt Jr. signed up long term. I think we've brought on some good players to build around. Melendez had a great second year, as we've talked about. In our next episode, we're going to do a full review of all the stats from this 2023 season and kind of start talking about our plans for the off season. Mixed results. It's good that we're over 500, good that we were competing for the playoffs, but we were just so close, and then we really choked it away down the stretch, which definitely not what you want to see from a team like the Royals when we've got a chance to get in the playoffs. You really want to come through. So not optimal. You can see here just exactly how we choked it away. We were 500 through the end of April, then we were really poor in May, mediocre in June, had a good July and a great August, and until that 3-7 finish, we were 8-7 in September, and then went 3-7 down the stretch, and it cost us. So close, but yet so far. The season is over, and for an 8th straight year, the Kansas City Royals are going to be watching the postseason on television rather than participating themselves. But we will be back in our next episode to do a full recap of the 2023 season. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got thoughts and comments, would love to hear them down below. Love the interaction, and hope you have a great day. Take care.